What is an effective school? Is it MAP scores and EOC scores? Is it the average ACT and SAT score? Different people look at an effective school different ways. I think most everybody looks at those two scores. But also, some people think about the dropout rate. They think about what the atmosphere in the school is like. Do the teachers and students dread or enjoy coming to school? Are the students learning to be a citizen of the 21st century? Are the graduates getting jobs? Are they going to a tech school or college? Is the school reaching out to the community? These are all things to look at when someone thinks about an effective school. When I think of an effective school, I don't think about just the MAP and EOC scores. I think there's much more to an effective school than just the scores. So then the question is, how do you get an effective school? Well, we do need to look at scores. How do we get those good scores? You look at the cognitive ability of the kids. Is it true that only kids with high cognitive abilities will do well? I don't think so. I think we can work with the kids with the lower cognitive abilities, and they can be raised, and they can learn to adapt, they can learn to accommodate. So they can be successful in the classroom and successful on those tests. If you look at this bottom one, perseverance, I think that's an important skill for students who are don't have the high cognitive ability, that it takes them a little bit longer to understand the skill. It takes them more study time than other kids to be able to learn. Then they need to persevere, and they can do it. They need the opportunity to learn. They need extra time. They need to be taught in different ways. We need to get away from the cookie cutter approach to education, that different kids learn in different ways. The next thing is relationships. Many students, they want to know that teachers and the other staff at school care about them. That's part of that environment that I talked about earlier. Some kids and families from lower income families don't really have a high value of education. In order for them to value it a little more, they need to know that the school and the staff value them. And so you need to build that relationship with them. Also, by teaching them in a way that interests them. Learn about the kids. Learn about their interests. And then, as you're teaching, you can build in those interests into the curriculum. And that will gain their interest more, and then they will want to learn. Also, tying it in the skills with real life. How is this going to affect them outside of these school buildings? Give them ownership of their work and of their behavior. And if they have ownership of it, then they tend to do better. I would like now to show a couple of clips, video clips from YouTube. This first video clip I'm going to show is a principal that got an award for her leadership in her school and bringing it to an effective school. And she talks about some of the ways that she leads her staff.
You give people authority with responsibility. I always look at leadership as something we do with people, not to people. And you really have to set a level of trust in your organization. And then you have to provide opportunities for them to do what they do best, build on people's strengths, monitor the data, and use data to really drive all the decisions in the school. We give the opportunity with the leadership team to truly be leaders at every level and to build the capacity of the teachers in the school, because the teacher's the most important person in the school. 80% of what a student does is a result of what that teacher's impact is on them. So we take that so seriously. But you also want to have fun, and you want to build that sense of community.
I think it's important to build that sense of community, as I talked about with the relationships. There's another video that I want to show you, and it has to do with what students think the top expectations should be in a classroom. And I agreed with it, and this video has a lot of what I think is involved in an effective school.
Schools have high expectations of students. Who's not for high expectations? But what about the expectations that students have of our schools? These get much less attention, but they are essential to keeping us in school and deeply engaged in our learning. Just what are these student expectations? I see 10. Relationships. Am I just another face in the crowded classroom, a test score? Or do my teachers know about me and my interests and talents? Do they help me to form relationships with adults and peers who might serve as models, mentors, and coaches? Relevance. Is it just a series of hoops to jump? Or is the work relevant to my interests? Do my teachers help me to understand how my learning contributes to my community and to the world? Time. Am I expected to learn at a constant pace decided by the teacher? Or can I learn at my own pace? Is there time for my learning to be deep as well as broad? Timing. Do all students have to learn things in the same sequence? Or can I learn things in the order that fits my learning style or interest? Play. Is there always pressure to perform? Or do I have opportunities to explore and make mistakes and learn from them without being branded as a failure? Do I have opportunities to tinker and make guesses? Practice. Do we learn something and then immediately move on to the next skill? Or can we engage in deep and sustained practice of those skills we need to learn? Choice. Am I just following the same path as every student? Or do I have real choices about what, when, and how I will learn and demonstrate my abilities? Authenticity. Is my work just a series of dittos? Or is the learning and work I do regarded as significant outside of school by experts, family, and employers? Does the community recognize the value of my work? Challenge. Is it just about completing assignments? Or do I feel appropriately challenged? Am I addressing high and meaningful standards of excellence? Application. Is my learning all theoretical? Or do I have opportunities to apply what I'm learning in real-world settings? So there you have it. 10 expectations that should have equal billing with the school's expectations of students.
So, what is an effective school? I think there's a lot that goes into an effective school, and that we can help students to be able to do well on their scores and be an effective member of society after they graduate.